Hello! For those who are on the East Coast, this is a very early edition of Effluvium. We have a very special guest, actually two very special guests. We have Neil Chapman, and he will be accompanied by his partner Duncan. We're going to have an excellent conversation with him. Just going to adjust the levels here. This music wants to overpower. Put on my Bob Ross voice right now. Okay. Very nice. So we currently have 6 people tuned in. We're going to bring in Neil and Duncan in just a moment. We're going to take a look at the chat. And we have Part Gadla or Gadia. Neil Chapman here for it. Love his blog and his writing, as do I. That's how I discovered him. Originally, through picking up his book, Neil Chapman, Perfume, In Search of Your Signature Scent. We're going to be chatting with him a little bit about that. And also through his blog, The Black Narcissus, which you will find a link to that in the description. We have VW here. Hi there. And Philippe. Scent of the day is L'Instant Galant. EDP. Mine, for which I will be sharing a review, is the... this is an original version of it, I think, which I was pretty lucky to find. Lauren, from Ralph Lauren. For those nerds who pay attention to the minutiae of these releases, this is the one with this particular label. I don't have very good focus on this. I'm going to be upgrading again to a new... But that says right there, for those who can't see it, this is a natural spray cologne, and it was produced by Warner Lauren Limited. For those nerds out there who need those details, but I will be doing a review of this today. And we have Marino Bombini. Good morning from Europe. Good morning. And good morning to Dwayne, aka The Rock. All right, without further ado, we're going to get this conversation started. And we're going to bring the two of them in. Hopefully Rachel will be joining us very shortly. She said that she'd be accompanying us for the first hour. Hello. Good evening to you guys. And very early morning for us here. Great to have you join us. It is just after 8 a.m. here in, I'm just outside of Boston, Massachusetts.
So it's like just after 9 in the evening. Yeah. We had dinner and we're just chilling out here.
Yeah,
I like the graphics and the music, really nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a very anti-establishment aesthetic for YouTube. I willfully go against.
Especially for us too, really.
That sounds good.
I choose to have an aesthetic that looks like it comes from analog television in the late 70s and early 80s. That's how I roll.
So you're saying a retro?
Retro, yeah, retro. But in a more earnest way, not in an ironic way. But
I sense the kind of moisture and the tropical kind of... How did you get to that name, Effluvium?
God. Reading old text that describes scent. It is because it is a very it's a word that is rather antiquated now, and I was amused by it and the way that the word has evolved over time. And I also think that it just sort of, the word effluvium has this connotation of sort of unpacking a lot of the stuff about fragrance and fragrance hobby and maybe some of the things that are not discussed as readily on these types of platforms. So it's sort of like airing out the stench, as it were. And
Effluvia.
The effluvia, yes, exactly, effluvia plural.
It sounds like north at the same time, doesn't it?
But thank you for asking. You're actually the first to have ever asked me why I chose that name. So after all this time, I've been using it. So
it's not an obvious name.
No, it's not. I kind of wanted it to be not an obvious name. One name that I really liked from these two folks who were doing YouTube for a while and then they disappeared. I liked their name, Making a Stink. I I liked
No.
that one very much.
No, this is much better.
yeah.
And the font's good as well.
Yeah. Right.
I like it. It's quite hip hop, but quite, I don't know, quite gothic at the same time.
Yeah. It's sort of a hybrid, right?
Your design, I like it.
Thank you very much. So, Neil, I wanted to ask you about the origins of your love affair and your long love for perfume. Where did it all begin? That's a question I ask all of my guests. Where did this all begin for you?
Same as everyone else, I'm sure. I mean, it's a cliche, right? It's the same for everyone. Like isn't it? Like the mother's dressing table and the garden.
That's what I get often. Do you not have it?
I have nothing else to say. Literally, the mother and father's dressing table. In my case, both parents had really good scent taste. Have good scent taste. They're not dead. But just the usual, hiding in the room when they went out and spraying things on, and that's it. I'm afraid, just the usual. But I started quite early. I mean, 8, 9, 10. Buying my own stuff when I was a teenager, probably. How about you?
You know what? I guess it is a cliche because I would describe the same thing because both my mother and my father wore fragrances, and I would nose around their dresser and sample their stuff and pretend to be a grown-up, wearing very grown-up perfumes. So,
what were you wearing?
Well, I know that my father had a few different things. He had. I'm just picturing his dress right now. Of course, he had the usual things like the Brut and the Old Spice, but he also had the Royal Copenhagen and the British Sterling, and then he had some fancier stuff for fancier occasions. He actually had a bottle of Hermes Equipage, and
really?
yeah, very fancy. I think it was
classy. That's really classy.
Well,
I think it was a gift.
I love that.
It was not one that he sought out himself, but he was quite fond of it. And what else did he have? He had a few others. My mother had a ton too, and also she was a fan of Avon. And truth be told, Avon actually had some great perfumes, and they had great perfumers behind them, and they're often perceived as a punchline rather than taken very seriously as a perfume house, as it were. So,
but there's so many, right? There's like literally probably thousands of them. So you can't even begin to make a mental list. Like, what's the one we have?
We do have one here, actually. Yeah,
we have a hilarious thing that Duncan found called Engaging. Would you believe?
Love it. I love the names. My favorite is Occur.
It's engaging. It has a kind of carriage. It's like a small carriage.
It's pure.
It must be an 80s.
It's pure.
It must be an 80s.
Smells really nice.
Yeah.
It just
one of the little, the limited edition. Well, they would do all these novelty ones shaped like clocks and cars and.
Yeah, I think it must be from that kind of range.
But
they did those for the.
I was like laughing, quite sardonically, when I saw it, and I actually smelled like, oh wow, like a really indolic white floral, actually really good. A bit on that sort of cheap tart tip, but I like it.
But it was such a thing, wasn't it? Because I always remember, we had an Avon lady, and she used to come around, and she would bring all the kind of products and show them to my mother, who would buy nail cream and stuff like that. It was such a sort of thing, wasn't it? It's hard to imagine now. But
it was a big thing. My mother was tight with the local Avon lady. She'd actually go over to her house sometime just to hang out and have coffee.
Really?
Yeah, they became good friends. She got good deals on Avon. But not only did she have Avon, she had some of the other classes. She had a few from a renowned house called Prince Machiavelli, if we recall. She had the Windsong, Golden Autumn.
You see, American, we didn't have any of that in the UK. We didn't have any Royal Copenhagen. We didn't have any Prince Machiavelli. There was no white shoulders. Honestly, they were different.
Right. Well, it's kind of like Lentheric. We didn't really have Lentheric here in the States. If you were lucky, you could find maybe Tweed on import, and that's about it. But yeah, they're very American brands. Yeah. But she had all those. Aviance was another one she loved. Yeah.
You see, my mum worked in a department store, so she's always exposed to all the new releases. So like it was great. You know, Isatis,
Givenchy Satis.
oh my god, also their own, like, but she also had
mind blowing,
quite eclectic, from like really green stuff like Number 19 to, you know, she would never go for the sort of cheapest. That's Duncan's mum. His mum likes the sort of
opium,
the witchier kind of, you know,
Magie Noir.
Magie Noir, my god,
Magie Noir, yeah.
She absolutely.
My mum would never want anything patchouli in it, so like it's quite interesting. You know, if we find some kind of vintage classic, it's quite easy to, you know, that's for your mum, that's for my mum, or it's for me, or for
very like, totally different. Yeah.
So anyway, my love affair started there, and then I saved up for my first bottle of perfume, which was Xerius, Givenchy Xerius.
Xerius, yes.
Which I wouldn't wear now, but I still have fond memories for. Do you know it?
I do, in fact. Yeah, I was planning on doing a review of it in a couple of months. I do. You know, I'm so methodical. I plan out when I write reviews months in advance. It's just not my brain work. Yeah, I'm very methodical like that. It's kind of unusual, but I am planning on doing a review of Xerius. I am familiar with it. But you mentioned that it was, you know, one from your youth, and it's interesting because the ones that I wore in my youth, even though I have high regard for them and have good memories, I can't wear them today, because what happens is that when I wear them, it floods so many memories, including memories that I just kind of want to, you know, process in a different way other than having the scent, because we know about that connection. So I completely relate to that. And I know from reading your blog that you don't really gravitate very much to the male marketed fragrances as much as you had used to. Tell us a little bit about that.
How honestly should I talk about it?
Well,
honestly, I mean, okay, so I would just have to say, like, Xerius is too macho for me.
Yeah.
Then I went to Armani Poron, which I actually still can wear quite happily, because it's just like that crisp citrus with the mossy undertone. It doesn't have that fougere thing, which I can't handle. I cannot handle anything which is even vaguely reminiscent of any of those like Yves Saint Laurent jazz type.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
We'll
there's that certain the fougere accord, that the particular type of fougere accord that became popular in the 80s. Yeah,
I can appreciate it, like aesthetically and sexually. It's hot in a way. You know, if you like men and it smells very manly, it can be, you know, horny, but it just represents this kind of boneheaded aggression, which I just can't. That's why I just hate Sauvage so much.
Oh God! That's boneheaded aggression to the 11th level.
Oh my God.
VW asks, what are your scents of the day, if you have one, of scents of the morning?
Well, I'm wearing a men's one. I'm wearing just because I felt like wearing. I'm wearing a remixed Givenchy, Monsieur de Givenchy. By remixed, I mean like I found like an old, slightly deteriorated bottle, and I added some vetiver and lemon to it about 2 years ago, and I started wearing it like about a week ago. I think it works with some Shalimar and some Voldemort. It's all kind of so kind of powdery, vetiver kind of skin scenty kind of thing. I've been wearing that for the last few days.
You often.
I sometimes remix stuff. I'm quite arrogant. Like if it doesn't feel perfect and it feels a bit deteriorating, I think, you know, bit of bergamot here, a bit of.
I recently, when I was reading your blog, I was reading how you added some bergamot to bring back to life a certain fragrance, and I was really intrigued by that, because that's something that might be considered verboten by some, but I don't object to it at all.
No, honestly, like I saw it on your blog. You had Armani, right? This one, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The men's one,
the color of that.
Yeah, this is a little bit deteriorated, and I put a bit of bergamot in it just to kind of freshen it up, and it has worked.
I love that.
It works. Honestly, that's how I remember it from smelling back in the day. And when I bought it in the shop, it was a bit
Yeah.
it was a bit kind of like dead.
Adds
And
a bit of zing, doesn't
a
it?
bit of bergamot can't hurt any perfume, in my opinion, but
Moist.
the experts would disagree.
Well,
Well,
there are
anyway.
some vintage experts who really just they don't miss the bergamot. There were so many people who say the vintages are inherently superior, and I mean they must be finding
Oh, yeah.
their vintages in some place that's been hermetically sealed, because how are they finding so many vintages that are intact, considering things that are so volatile with bergamot? Right.
This is another one this is quite outrageous as well. This is like the Mustacatier, the Parfum of it. The
Mustacatier. Yeah.
which I love.
Look at that. I love those older bottles, and I love the font, like a Bauhaus font on it too.
You know what? But it wasn't quite. It was a bit flat, and I actually outrageously added galbanum essential oil to it.
Oh,
are you kidding me?
Yeah,
How
is
did
that
that?
that's okay for the
honestly,
skin. Oh, yeah.
Which I got in Hawaii like last year, and no, at first I was like, oh shit, I've wrecked it. I put too much in, but like a 4 months in, it's like that's how it used to smell. Maybe I should be a perfumer.
Oh, that is quite.
It's good.
That is nice.
Honestly, trust me.
That is nice. That's much
That
more.
is
much
has
more
yeah,
alive, isn't it?
Yeah. It has the greenness that you want, but it also goes down to that kind of ambery. I mean,
You revived that, that I love the duality between the green and the vanilla and resin, because that was sort of that's what kind of put that style on the map. And then you had Obsession and
it's exactly
Moschino, and then Crazy
I love
Pritzker that came around way late to the game, but was still rather nice. Yeah, I love that. I love it.
Moschino was a weeny bit sickly, I think. Do you not think so?
Pardon?
Moschino is a weeny bit sickly in a way. A little. I don't know. It kind of took that to the ultimate of like. Oof, like
it's this. Yeah, the levels are pretty far up. I kind of enjoy it for that, but I won't disagree. It's at an extreme level for that kind of style.
Great talent.
Well, I'm wearing.
Oh yeah, please. Sorry.
Pure tea. One day. Very serene scent. Actually, it's really beautiful. So we can't really see because it's sort of embossed.
Yes.
One day.
Don't see the text, but we see a lovely white label there.
Can we drink wine or not? Is it okay to drink wine?
What was I going to say? Yeah, because it's part of a tea range, the one day tea range, and this is my favorite, actually. But they're all really very good,
very mellow.
But that's a Hong Kong brand. Yeah.
But going back to your question before, okay, so like about the male female thing, I mean, I've gone quite extremely in that non-male direction. Like, I mean, I would say niche is gender free anyway, isn't it? But like, wouldn't you say like niche is basically gender free now? There are no porom on, but in terms of the classics, I don't really wear many of them. I prefer girly. I don't know, not girly, but like I prefer the ambiguity of a female perfume on a man's skin, and vice versa as well.
Right. Now I understand that. Something that isn't so archetypally masculine. Something that veers more. The thing about unisex is it's like, what does that really mean? What makes something unisex? It's kind of, it really wasn't a concept until maybe at the earliest the 70s, a couple things.
And the word is very ugly, I think, unisex.
Unisex, yeah.
It's practically unicycle, isn't it? It's just not, it's not.
It reminds me of those hair salons that you'd find, in a unisex hair salon. That's the association I have, not necessarily with perfume. It's not exactly a romantic name.
Have you been to Japan before? Can I ask if you've been to Japan?
I can't say that I have, but I would love to.
Okay,
so I would love to hear all about your experience in Japan.
I mean, the thing is, in Japan, you don't smell any of those like macho, like fougere type smells, or hardly ever. Like, I mean, people don't wear them, right? So you get used to not smelling them, and then when you go back to the UK or like a Western country, oh my god, the blokes really do smell like this. Whereas in Japan, it would be considered crass or a bit vulgar or a bit too sort of brash and aggressive to wear anything like that. So I mean, you can buy Sauvage, you can buy all those perfumes in the shops, but you don't smell them on the street. Like the boys smell of like bubblegum and shampoo products and fruity stuff, and the girls smell of like woody, more sort of like Vanity Dubois type perfume. There's a lot more ambiguity. Wow. Honestly, you do not smell the tacky vanilla Floriental thing, and you don't smell the Ministry. So we sort of got used to not smelling it now, haven't we? And people aren't that perfumed anyway. So it's honestly a shock when I get back to England. It's like like in the airport, it's like wow, people are really like so divided in this kind of typical unadventurous, unimaginative kind of, I don't know. So I've just gone beyond it and into, and there's incense everywhere, and I think people have absorbed that kind of soapy incense type smell to the point where you just don't get the binary anymore. To use that terminology, it's like there's a brand called J Scent. Have you smelled that?
J Scent, yes. There were a couple that I sampled, hydrangea and soap scent.
That's the one I like. That hydrangea is a bit pissy, I think.
There's the
paper soap.
Paper soap. Did you try the roll-on paper soap? It's really
paper soap.
Really, really nice.
What's the one you tried?
I tried. Well, maybe it was it did have. Maybe I did try paper soap, but not. I
have a spray version and an oil version.
Yeah. Spray and oil.
The spray. Yeah. I did very like that.
Very aldehydic. Very kind of. A bit overdone. I think their aesthetic is quite representative of what people like. I mean, like Cimarest is really good because it's like Cimarest is like a powdery, like ambery kind of vanillic type perfume. You would never think, of a Restler or something like that, but it's they sort of.
They're very affordable, those scents, aren't they?
Affordable,
they're very and they're quite intriguing, actually. Yeah.
So I suppose we've been slightly Japanized in a way by living here so long, and by getting away from all of that gender cliche.
I wanted to ask you suggested this as a topic, but I wanted to ask you about your exploring Japan for vintages and your whole experience with that. I want to hear how much luck that you have. It seems like that you can find a lot there, actually. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean the supplies are dwindling for sure. It's because there's just literally less around. But I mean, we sort of met. We started going to junk shops and jumble sales, and that's our kind of thing from the very beginning of our relationship. And we started going to flea markets in Tokyo, and
that was when we discovered it. Yeah, I mean,
oh my god, the first time
was in Shinagawa. It's like basically it's the southern part of Tokyo, Shinagawa, and it has this huge flea market. And I at that time I suppose you weren't buying that much vintage.
I hadn't discovered it at that point.
I think you were buying quite a lot of perfume, but you weren't buying vintage perfume. But and it was like I just went to the flea market and I suddenly found. I was like, oh my god, it's absolutely incredible. Like it was just this person, had inherited all this vintage perfume from presumably from her mother-in-law, I think it was, and she was just selling it off. She had no interest in perfume herself. I just went back to Neil and said,
"You're going to die.
You're going to die.
Actually going to die." Yeah, but those were the days. That doesn't exist anymore. And but you still get. There are lots of so-called recycle shops and antique shops, jumble. I mean, like I got this Dior Dune Parfum, which is really rare.
Oh, let's zoom in there.
$3. Just tossed in with the trash. Yeah, just thrown in with the trash.
And that one, this one was like last week. This was like Nina.
That's a Nina Ricci.
500 yen. It's like $2.
Honestly, and it's in the most perfect condition. It's like
so you do still sometimes find.
And that's a Le
so we just keep. Yeah, unfortunately, I want it to be Nina, but it's.
that would be nice. Yes, I'm familiar with Nina. That was a later release. Yeah.
I find Nina really emotive. I mean, Le Déton's more commonplace, but you can't complain.
Yeah.
What are your favorite kind of vintage ones from that era? Like, the 70s and 80s?
Oh, well, just in terms of Nina
It's a big
Ricci,
question.
I think that Farouche is a really nice aldehydic floral. There's a really, let me see if I can reach for it.
Oh, God. Look at my Farouche. That is the best one I've ever had, I think.
I have.
We can
Oh, look
Farouche
at
together.
well, I don't have I have the Farouche Parfum, but I don't have it. This is actually Fidève. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's really animalic, right?
Yeah, it has a lot of costus. I'll show the bottle.
Is it the Parfum or the Eau de Toilette?
This is Eau de Toilette. Yeah, and the
I'm still
Parfum is
editing.
really tough to find. I like it in the Eau de Toilette more so. The Parfum is a little bit too intense. I like this beautiful.
That is a naughty. Oh, that's a really gorgeous. I think you win, maybe.
Wow,
This is pretty special.
Green costus. There, yeah, like you have the green vanillas. This is like a green animalic almost. Green floral animalic. Wild stuff.
So, where did you find that? Where did you find it?
Oh, I found this at like an antique mall. I like going to the antique malls around here, and they'll say, "Oh, this old stuff, yeah, you can have that for $5." Don't mind if I do. $5 for this. I think this would go for maybe 100 or more. I don't know, but this was for $5, and it smells lovely. It hasn't really deteriorated all that much, considering. I mean, God, I don't know. The bottle might be from the 70s at the latest.
No, that's way more than 100. Trust me, more like 300.
Yeah. Oh God, I wasn't even keeping track. Let's move in here. Oh, that's the Farouche. Oh, isn't that gorgeous?
And it's really, really, really beautifully, like pristine and divine.
Yeah,
my God, those are tough to find. Yeah,
I have. I got into
it's cute.
Yes,
it was wrapped when I bought it.
You see that little logo that. Love that. You know what? Let's be real. A lot of us who are fragrance collectors, we love the scent, but it's the whole package. It's everything, all the little details that matter to us when we get to this level of insanity. Love it. So we have a comment here that I wanted to highlight very quickly. The female has more range if one is putting in a box. Fast florals, bright citrus, meadow grasses, rich gourmands, fantasy woods. I guess as unisex is still being figured out by composers. Creativity to be attractive, which I think is a little silly. Well, that begs a question: what makes a fragrance attractive? Yeah, like does it always need to be conventionally attractive? So, yeah. So, tell us. So you see that the fragrance culture in Japan isn't quite the same as it is in the West. What do you notice? What are some of the observations that you make there as far as those who respond to what you wear and what you appreciate?
Well, I've learned that because I'm a teacher, my day job is being a teacher. I just have to turn it down. And I've had kids screaming in the past. I once had Givenchy pie, eau de parfum, like, open the window. We can't stand it.
Oh my God.
That benzoin after things really wasn't working for them in the heat of the afternoon. It's taken my part, and I've just learned not to do it. So I've turned down anything which is too strong for work, and I just like I've been wearing Dusita La Douceur de Siam. It's like a
rose kind of.
Dusita stuff.
Dusita, yes. There's a few that I appreciate. I really like Erewhon.
Really?
Yeah, I like Erewhon. Yeah.
I know, but I can't get with that one. I just don't. It's, because you like Clary Sage, right? I've seen that on your.
Yeah.
I can't do Clary Sage. I'm a Clary Sage. That's very prominent in that, and I can't do Clary Sage.
I don't know what it is about Clary Sage, but I enjoy it. Maybe it's something genetic. I don't know. There's something in it that I enjoy, so I gravitate towards fragrances that have a lot of it.
Slightly hallucinogenic. Did you know that?
That could be a reason why as well.
Having seen the entry titles.
What else do you like?
Cavatina. I thought that was a very good muguet.
Me too.
Because it's very difficult to construct a good one in these times. So that's a nice muguet, and I think that it highlights some other florals in it. So it's not just a big fat muguet; it's very nicely blended. I find that the owner of the brand is quite fascinating too. I would love to interview her sometime. I love her ebullience. That's a good word for it.
Just speaking of, you were talking about fougères, right? So she's that latest one, Pelagos. That's a serious fougère. Like, I mean, it's like, ooh. And I met her in Tokyo, like, was it a month ago?
That has close stage in the middle, doesn't it? That does have some close stage in it as well. That scent. Yeah. But
like on her part, I couldn't handle it because it was too much. On her, it's like a fougère with a marine fougère with iris in the top notes.
I get scared when I hear marine. It's not that I won't appreciate a marine scent. It's just
I know what you mean.
To just pull out an arbitrary figure. Like I would say, only 1 out of 10 times I smell one, it resonates with me, and the other 9 times I'm repulsed.
I can totally understand. Well, actually, Ultramarine by Givenchy Insensé Ultramarine.
The flanker to Insensé. Yes, I've never smelled that one. Go ahead. Sorry, Neil. You can go ahead.
That was the perfume in Japan for the 90s, basically. That shows like a Japan mega hit.
Oh, isn't that funny?
So Japan sometimes go for this kind of heavy. Sometimes you get the odd hit, which you wouldn't expect. But yeah, I mean, overall, marines are problematic, I would say.
They can be difficult. They can be difficult for the perfumer to put together in a way that's actually convincing.
Yeah, I mean, I like them a lot. I like them more than you do, actually. But I absolutely love salt ozone. The kind of cologne salt thing.
But
which I just absolutely.
But summer in Japan is boiling, right? So
it makes sense in such a very humid, when it's like 37 degrees and humidity. It's actually very cooling.
What's Boston summer like? And what's the weather like there? New York, so probably hottish, I should imagine.
Humid, very humid.
Really?
Lately, and one could argue it has something to do with climate change, but we won't get into that discussion. We know how that's a sensitive topic for some people. But we had one summer that was extremely dry, and then another summer that was extremely rainy, and noticeable differences in the way that the flora had been affected by that. But also, to have a dry summer was really unusual, and I was able to get away with wearing certain things that I normally wouldn't be able to get away with in the summertime.
Like what?
Things that, more ambery and mossy things that might be a little bit too oppressive. And
can you give me an example? I mean, like what, for example?
Oh goodness, I remember I wore which was it? The Perfume Roma Ambra Aurea, which is very, very thick and heavy amber, and it seemed to work really well in the dry heat. Brought out some of the elements of the labdanum and the resins in a way that I didn't really notice before. But that was the summer of 2022, and then 2023 it was very rainy and very humid, and I tend to avoid thicker and denser fragrances in the summertime. And not to say that I think there's any rules for everyone, but for me personally, sensory wise, I like things to be a little bit more on the treble end of fragrances. Yeah.
I love your speaking about flora. I love your flower photos, by the way. I mean,
oh, thank you. Thanks.
Was it like because I like flowers as well, but I'm just with my iPhone, I never get anything like what you get. Is it like a particular lens you're using?
As a matter of fact, it is just my iPhone, and I learned how to make the most out of an iPhone camera. Most people just point and shoot, but there's actually a lot of things that you can do, short of using filters, which I avoid unless the light is just really poor. There are just ways of using composition or approaching it compositionally. I think that's the biggest part of photography, is understanding your composition more than your subject matter, because your subject matter is only one thing, and you can really highlight all of the best qualities of your composition, of your subject matter rather, if you understand how to use the space around it in certain ways.
I think my composition is, I don't worry about, I can do that, but I can't get that clarity that you get with your images, where it's like really sort of like really, like almost fetishistically pure or something. You sort of get this kind of
love that fetishistic
halo of light around it. It's beautiful.
Well, it's the sensuality. Yeah, photography is another big love of mine, and it's ridiculous that I don't have it. You know, an actual camera at this point. I think I need to graduate to that.
I mean, you don't need to, but I mean, you know, you could
sure.
You could be a professional flora, you know, florographer.
Well, I'm really connected with botany as well, and I like the connection. You know, I like to draw the connection between botany and perfume whenever I can, to tie it all together. It's interesting how I've gotten certain protests like, you post too many things other than perfume, and I don't have time to manage another Instagram account. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. I'm not going to post it. I'm not going to manage a whole different Instagram. But for the most part, people are really they respond really favorably to it, and they do see how it all ties together. I mean, I'm surprised if somebody who's so in love with perfume can't see just how much, you know, botany is tied into perfume. So, you know, I
compliment you really well. You know, a picture of a perfume bottle and then like a flower in a meadow or in a forest or something.
A good combination, yeah.
I don't know what Boston's like. Have you been to Boston?
No, I haven't. I've been to New York, but I haven't been to Boston. Yeah.
Are there lots of woods and fields around your house? Or?
Yeah. The climate here is similar to New York. It can get a little bit colder up here, but not by that much. But we do have a lot of different habitats here. We have a lot of mixed forests and a lot of pine forests. Certain parts of Massachusetts have sandier soil. So you have these really great pine forests of like what we have eastern white pine. So there's a lot of that. And there's a lot of sanctuaries and places to hike around here too. And that's where I find a lot of inspiration as well. There's actually this place in a town near here, Sudbury, and it's a pine barrens, which is a very specific and rare kind of ecosystem. And it's almost like a desert, even though, of course, it's going to get the precipitation that's here. But because it's all very sandy soil, very specific trees and plants grow there, and certain animals thrive there. There's a whippoorwill population. Are you familiar with a whippoorwill?
Oh, no. What's it?
We're going to go off on such a tangent here, and people are going to get lost. Whippoorwills are these lovely birds. They're nightjars. So they're like... and they make a call at night. They're nocturnal birds. They nest on the ground. And the name of the bird comes from its call, whippoorwill, whippoorwill. And because they build their nests on the ground, they can be vulnerable to introduced or invasive species. And if you can think of something that humans absolutely love, that is an invasive species once it's off its leash. And people love to take their dogs off of leash in this protected area, and it is affecting the whippoorwill population because, of course, they love dogs because dogs love them back, and they don't care as much about the other animals that are just minding their own business and trying to live their lives. So the dogs will end up trampling on the eggs, messing with the eggs, killing the birds. And they just continue to do it as if it's just no big deal. There's plenty of whippoorwill to go around, I suppose, according to them. So yeah, I'm very much into conservation as well. So, but that was a huge tangent. There's a lot of wonderful places to explore here outdoors in New England. So,
what do you make of a zoologist on that subject matter?
Oh God.
I understand.
I'm from New England, which is not, you know, we have our sense of humor is a little bit similar. So I'm glad you pick up on that.
No, I really like Nightingale because that's
That Nightingale is a nice one. Yeah. The only thing that I can't get past is the aesthetic. And this shouldn't be. This is such, a shallow thing. But I find it hard to get past the presentation of certain brands. So I have to kind of forget that, the presentation in the bottle and the artwork looks like it does. Set that aside in my mind and just smell the fragrance. But I'm not too keen on the aesthetic. I'm honest.
I kind of like the aesthetic, but the smells are a little bit too
hit or miss, or
quite futuristic and
Dusty,
experimental, and they're quite brave.
Dusty,
very interesting.
Garagey.
Bat is amazing. Oh my god, T-Rex is quite something. Wow.
What does bat smell like? Does it smell like guano, or was it bat?
It smells like steam in a cave. It's quite clever.
Nothing like steam in a cave.
Yes.
T-Rex is it's kind of seductive in a terrifying kind of way.
There's a banana as well.
That might be the bat.
That's a bat. Oh, the bat is.
But there,
banana. Bizarre.
So you prefer the So what brand's aesthetic do you like in terms of current presentation? If not, Nina Ricci, Farouche, or Fidev.
I love that this is turning into an interview of me. This is like I don't mind it at all. I don't. Whatever works for you. I'm just glad that you could have a discussion with me. Let's see, aesthetics that I appreciate today. Not many.
And yet you got that big thing behind you.
I know, right? I know, that's kind of ridiculous, right? I like much more traditional kind of aesthetic, mostly. Nothing. I don't really like the Byredo kind of look because that's so hackneyed.
Yeah, they've captured a certain kind of. I wouldn't wear it, but there's a certain kind of boxy kind of minimalist kind of that kind of typeface. I can see why it works for lots of people. I mean, in fluorescence, I'd rather drive away that. But
I find that aesthetic to be getting very tired because I think a lot of these fly-by-night new lines and brands and venture capitalist brands are all kind of using that same kind of uniform aesthetic. So that doesn't really intrigue me that much. But I don't know. You're putting me on the spot here. Huh? Sorry.
Can you tell what you mean by venture capitalist brands? I'm interested. No, please.
Oh no, I just think that there are some brands out there that are, they're being released. There's not really the same kind of objective. Of course, it's always a business, but it's an opportunity to make money. It's sort of a means to an end. So they hire, a perfumer to compose whatever focus group deems is going to be commercially successful, and then they release a line for it, and that becomes niche today to me.
So that's why I'm not exhaustively interested, if you know what I mean. Like I find things and write about them and come across things, and I'm happy to do that. But I can't be like a sort of TikTok, hi guys, every single new thing. I just don't believe in it. And each brand's got like 15 to 45 perfume. It's just overwhelming. So I just
and they all smell amazing, of course.
Yeah, of course. And none of them have lots of oud synthetics in them.
No.
I get so I have to preserve my sensitivities by focusing on what's worth what I like, kind of thing. But I agree with you. I mean, having said that, Saturday night I'm looking forward to going to Tokyo and Isetan Shinji guys, lots of brands. I like to go sometimes and just try stuff out. I want to try the Guerlain Vetiver Parfum because I haven't smelled that yet.
Oh yeah, there's a parfum for Vetiver and Abbé Rouge as well.
You're not a fan?
I'm sorry?
You're not a fan of those two, or?
The parfum, I haven't tried the parfum version. I love the original Vetiver and Abbé Rouge. Yeah, but I haven't really been eager to try any of these newer ones, honestly. They're not really accessible here. You can't walk into a department store and try out, get new Guerlain. It's just not easy. They sell very little of them. I think a Bloomingdale's sells like a few of the Aqua, Allegoria, and then Shalimar, and that's about it.
It's terrible, I think. I look dreadful on the whole.
I beg your pardon?
I think most of the Aqua Ligures are dreadful. I think.
Oh, most of them are pretty bad. There's a couple that I do like. I like the Erba Fresca, and there was a Rosa Magnifica that's no longer in production, but most of them are not appetizing to me at all.
So you mentioned Abbey Rouge, right? So I think Abbey Rouge is a perfect example of. We used to joke about it, but I smell so old ladyish in Abbey Rouge, and yet in Shalimar it smells fantastic. So I have my my prize bottle of Shalimar here. Like a mega bottle.
Let's take a look at that.
Smells honestly really, really like nice on me, that one. Whereas Abbey Rouge just smells like an old lady. So
on your particular skin or just in general, it gives you.
I'm fine with old lady, but it's too much in that kind of dusty sort of shuffling slippers kind of aspect. And it just didn't work on me.
Yeah, it wasn't quite right.
It's definitely an acquired taste. It's polarizing.
Probably my holy grail, I think.
Where's
Rachel, by the way?
I actually had asked.
And who is Rachel?
Who is Rachel? Who is Rachel? Rachel has co-hosted this live stream with me, and she's a friend of mine, and she's a really a great mind and writer of perfume. She's contributed to Sauf Le Bon. So yeah. Hopefully she's okay. It's just she's MIA right now, and hopefully everything's fine. She does have a kid, so maybe something had come up. And she did plan to work. She does have to teach at 9:30, so maybe something came up with work. So
maybe you can link us later or something.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you can link us later. So we can
yes. She is on Instagram under Rachel Kating. On Instagram, I'll send you her Instagram link. For sure. So just taking a look at the chat here very briefly. We have a Noah Drucker. Good morning. And Jean-Claude Sant. Lovely to see you.
Why are they going on about whippoorwills?
Yeah. Well, perhaps the line that we were discussing earlier, they could release a whippoorwill and
yes,
the proceeds.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe I can compose. Maybe I can compose whippoorwill.
Are you a perfumer?
I studied perfume making. I did from 2014 to 2019, self-taught, not formally trained.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of my background in analyzing and assessing perfume comes from that. And what I do is I try to temper my writing so that I don't get too analytical and lose my audience of people reading it and not knowing what I'm talking about. Sometimes I do that, but sometimes at least if I mention a particular base or material, I give a little bit of context so people aren't lost. But yeah, I have an arsenal of raw materials as well. Yeah. So what I do here is I do a notes and accords series of live streams where I'll do a subject. It might be leather or rose or tobacco. In the first hour, what I'll do is go through almost everything that would be used to build a note or an accord in that particular category for the first hour, and then I move on to the next hour, and then I'll discuss the fragrances that I own and I appreciate that fall into that category. So I do that. Yeah.
Wow. So how do you store all your scents? Because I mean, you from Instagram, you have a great collection from brilliant vintage collection. How do you store them all? Because it must be burgeoning and getting big.
Yeah. It's thankfully where I live. I have plenty of storage, and I do store them in a few different closet spaces and keep most of them. I know that I have this in the back, but that's for more immediate reference and access. But much of what I own is on lockdown to kind of keep them safe, and I keep most of them in boxes as well. I can't believe this culture with these more budding fragrance enthusiasts to throw away the box right away, especially. I mean, some of them are beautiful in their own right, and also will they never move? I mean, there may come a time where you relocate, and those boxes will come in handy. So don't chuck the box. That was like a big meme for some of the people on YouTube. And chuck the box, don't keep it.
So maybe you should start your own line at some point.
Perhaps. Yeah, I've thought about revisiting perfume making more and more. I've been thinking about it. I took a hiatus actually because of the pandemic. A lot of people put things on pause, and the thing is as you can imagine, it's a very expensive, time-consuming,
Oh, it is.
could be tedious.
Mm.
But in the least, if I don't do all of it on my own, I at least want to have some part in creative direction and maybe work with
Yeah.
perfumers and
Really
help
good.
them composing. So I have, a
Mm.
template in mind, and then they can flesh it out, an idea, and then they can
Definitely.
take it from there. So we'll
Make
see
it
what
together.
happens.
Are you a fan of Rogue perfume at all?
Rogue, Manuel Cross. Yeah, I appreciate what he does. I think that he has he has a reverence for the classic style, and I think that he is good at doing these. I wouldn't say that they're exact reproductions, of course, but I think that he does that style justice.
I like
As
it.
A twist. He has his own twist to it, definitely. I will agree with that. But yeah, I appreciate his work. I do.
I love
Yeah,
Mm.
I appreciate any perfumer right now who is, paying homage or even, taking these existing tropes in classical perfume and adding, like you said, their own signature to it. There's another great perfumer who I've interviewed with here named Darren Allen here in the
yes.
States.
Yeah, I like his stuff.
Yeah. Mm.
That's
So impressive. So
Jean-Claude.
impressive.
Jean-Claude. Oh, Jean-Claude.
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Very
Oh,
nice.
And that weird battery is shocking, like vampire one. Oh my god,
Oh, Botany.
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I like that.
And there's
Yeah.
the paper one, isn't there? As well?
I liked it.
But the novel.
And After the Rain, novel was really good.
Wow,
Novel's really
After
good.
the Rain is so realistic.
That's different, isn't it? But like,
that's
that's more
different.
marine.
That's a
But like
different thing. But yeah.
the novel ones, yeah, I like him too. That's
He's just so deserving of more accolades, more attention. And
so it's
I'm
like
happy to.
vintage centric, but not stuck in the past. I would say, which is the way to go. I think. 'Cause
Yes,
like,
he knows how to. Right. I would agree. I would agree. Without, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and, seeming very little in the way of vintage. He knows how to balance, vintage and sort of modern approaches to it. Songe de Fleur is the most recent one, and it's excellent. I'll be doing a review of that. Just very, very talented perfumer. He deserves far more attention. Yeah. So there's some great independent perfumers out there. I mean, there's going to be some that. My biggest gripe with some indie and independent, the indie perfumer are those who have a lot of ambition and they have a lot of enthusiasm, but they are too eager to be something before they, if that makes any sense, to be a brand before they have if they really cut their teeth on their work. And what they do is they release things that the seams show. It's a little too rough hewn and
way of putting it.
Yeah. And I try to be kind as much as I can, but sometimes when they have a huge ego and they think that they're, the second coming, I do like to write things to kind of, not out of spite, but to just kind of maybe bring them down to earth and help them to realize that, you're not always going to have an echo chamber. You're going to have some people who are going to be a little bit more critical of what you do. So I've done that for a couple of brands.
That pressure to produce like 12, scents in your first batch prep, that's really too much, isn't it? So don't you think? I mean,
speak up a bit.
It just feels like it would be better to go back to
having one or two or something.
Slow perfume approach.
Well, that's what I was doing between 20. See, you have perfumers who started 2 years ago, and they already have a line of 30 perfumes. That doesn't make any sense at all. I studied from 2014 to 2020, and I still felt like I was just at the cusp of sharing my work.
Wow.
not even. I was so particular. I was like, what? Sharing my work beyond like a circle of friends. I did share things, but to share it with people who were more, experienced and it could give me critical, good constructive feedback. But then, then you have some of these folks who they are upstarts and they already open up a shop. And so we have a comment here, JJ. I know you've said Suga is shutting down. Well, that's Suga is that's an indie house here. But there are some, like Darren Allen, wonderful stuff. There's an Anjali Perfumes here in the States. Excellent. Diane St. Clair. Truly remarkable with her.
What's over here, isn't it? Sometimes.
Sometimes it's a bit more difficult since the pandemic, isn't it? But yeah, it depends.
Do you know Ida Meister, by the way? Because she's in Boston, isn't she?
I do. I love Ida. Yeah.
Your friend?
We actually should be hanging out soon.
In person? In person?
In person, we'll hang out.
Say hi to me because she's great. I love her. She's amazing. I think she's the one to, she has the nose, she has the brain, she has the understanding, she has the writing skills.
She does.
Once it's ready, present it to Madame Ida, and she will, spread the word. I think she's great. I think. Hi, Ida. When you see her, like Ida.
Yeah, of course. Ida.
Cool.
Yeah.
I met her in Florence, and because I was my book came out, and it was like the Florence, the Lush Perfume Library in Florence, and I got to meet all the kind of bigwigs of the fragrance writing world. It was amazing. So I was with Ida Meister, I was with Base Notes and Fragrantica people, and Percelez is a good friend. Do you know Percelez?
Yeah, Percelez was a guest on here last summer. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine, and we all hung out and smelled perfumes and ate nice things, and it was amazing. So, but I haven't seen her since when was that again? That was 2019.
2019, yeah.
Then everything shut down. I was like, wow.
You guys have to forgive me. So it's pollen season, and I wear contacts, and my eyes. I've been rubbing my eye because I should have just worn my glasses. It's awful. So I'm like trying to check to see if we have more comments in the chat. I just want to share a few in case we have any questions for you. So Jean-Claude says, hopefully Darren will have stockists available for international shipping. That would be wonderful. Ellena Sophocleus, it's mostly my eyes. Darren, I can't find in Europe. I like Ranges Mr. Om. Can't remember the name. I'm constantly see a lot of good commentary about Darren's work. Yeah. And then we have That Shadow, My Likeness. If folks do not like blue scents, perhaps try more Windswept. If people like any or have any recommendation, Windswept.
Oh,
I know what they mean, but salty kind of.
Maybe you enjoy less Calone or Kalone. I've heard potato. Blue Ocean, but a more oceanic Windswept. Oh, Windswept or Sea-like, a niece. Neroli, I've agreed. Angelica.
I didn't do conifer basically. I just hate conifer.
Ooh. Sorry. So we can't agree on everything. I mean, I think we have a pretty healthy overlap, but we can't agree on everything. I love conifers, but that's probably because I grew up around pine trees around my house, so I have that association. Mary mentioned
I can do Krizia Warmer. Do you know Krizia Warmer?
Yeah, I do. I have a fondness for Krizia Warmer.
I love that one. That's like sort of I don't know. There's something really weird about that. I love that one. Like that's coniferous, but with the kind of
Papillon is stunning. Can't wait to try the new one. No, it does. You're right. It does have sort of a jasmine going on in it as well. What are your thoughts on Papillon, Liz Moore's? Yeah.
Do I know it?
And Francesca Bianchi.
Did she do Salome?
Papillon. Liz Moore's did Salome. Yeah, she did that. Ibis.
And the forest. The Nymphy one, what's it called? The Nymphy one. Francesca Bianchi, I think, is really good because I think she spends time with it, and I think her base notes are stunning.
I like that she's adventurous. I like that she's willing to push the envelope, which I always
some of the
appreciate.
recent ones I've been less enamored with, but like
This was
I
nice.
like
The
the
last one,
and I
wasn't it?
love them.
Yeah.
I think her leather is the best leather, the most memorable leather of all time. Is it called A Lover's Tale? Do you know it?
I'm familiar with the Lover's Tale.
I mean, it smells like. Is that the one? The leather one? It's like leather jackets hanging like a sort of Florentine pellicceria. I think she's very good. What else do I like by her?
Epona. And oh, hey there, Fernando Soto. Just a reminder for those who are viewing. I don't know if I have the pinned note. Oh, this is a pinned note at the top for the chat. Buy me a coffee. 6 cups will get you a sample pack from my grandiose collection of samples. US only, please. You can visit the website at buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Cole P. We're going to go into the second hour. We're going to do a brief intermission while I adjust my contact lenses, and we'll be back with Neil and Duncan in just a moment. I'll bring you guys back in just a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, and we are back for the second hour of Effluvium with our guest Neil Chapman and his partner Duncan. And we currently have 14 people tuned in. If you do have any questions for Neil or Duncan, just be sure to drop it in the message into the chat there. And if you have any questions in general, just let us know. And we're going to bring the two of them back in. Or just one for now.
Yeah, he's coming in a moment. Yeah.
My God, the pollen right now is crazy. I had to put eye drops in.
It's
Yeah,
bad, it's bad in Japan, actually. I mean, unfortunately, I don't get it so much. Occasionally get itchy eyes, but it's really bad in Japan. Yeah,
it's a pine pollen. Speaking of pine,
yeah.
Oh
yes,
pine.
Yeah, I do like pine. Yeah.
I love pines except for their pollen season. It runs for about a week or so here in May. Yeah, it's really rough. So so my contacts, they'll just get very dry and itchy and blurry. So the whole time that we've been broadcasting, I've been like, I've been struggling to see you guys. I've been struggling to read the chat. I feel like Mr. Magoo right now. I don't know if you knew Mr. Magoo were in your parts, but that was a cartoon here in the States.
We know. Let's say it feels like Mr. Magoo because of contact.
I have a nerdy question.
Oh, they're always welcome here.
Was that music just the Solaris soundtrack?
Oh God. I'm trying to remember what that. It's not from the Solaris soundtrack though. It's from like the dozens. I mean, hundreds of albums that I have of obscure ambient and new age music. And
that sounded really like the Solaris soundtrack. Yeah, it must be the same chords or something.
I would have to. Yeah, I would lose monetization, I think, if I use that album. I try to choose things for. I use the obscurities. I get past monetization issues. So, yeah. Okay, let's look at the. Okay, Ellena, Black Knight.
Oh, that's
that's the leather from Francesca Bianchi. And our pine see how bad this is. I'm barely able to read. Our pine pollen is falling all over and is raining right now. Quite the yellow goo. That is exactly what's happening right now. And I think some of that's mucking up my eyes right now. It's the pine pollen. It's awful. If I'd known that was so bad this morning, I would have just worn my specs. I would have just like Where are my glasses?
Yeah.
Wearing your specs now or not?
Are you okay? We have in Japan after the Second World
You
War.
just
They
sing
planted too many
cedar trees.
cedar trees.
Oh my god, it's quite bad.
And so the cedar pollen is
quite bad.
is terrible.
It's really quite bad.
Yeah.
God.
We're kind of lucky for touch wood.
Half the population has really, really bad allergy. Don't they?
Yeah, really bad.
We have friends who have to actually move to a different part of the country, like during that season, don't they?
Yeah.
So maybe the pine's similar.
But but of course,
Neil, I have a question for you, Neil. Is your book, is it out of print now? Because I wanted to promote it, but I didn't want to. Is it? Can you still?
So I think it's sold out. I think, and I suppose it's out of print, which is, which means at least someone liked it.
I do have a link to Amazon if somebody wants to buy it from a seller there, but I don't know if they're legit. Well, I mean, they're on Amazon.
Sure.
I mean,
I guess
It's been there for a long time. It was there since 2022. I would always leave a link where you can purchase your book on every one of my videos.
How did you find that book? How did you find it?
Oh God,
Where did you find it?
I think I might have purchased it on Amazon. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a while ago. And it was in stock, and yeah.
I mean, like,
it's because it also has an Italian translation, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there is a Chinese translation.
I think the Italian's actually better than the original.
Oh, wow.
Because I speak Italian. The Chinese version I can't read. That didn't do very well, but the Italian one was quite popular, I think.
Yeah,
and it's really, 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 really well translated. Like I said, wow, I wrote this. I finally got to actually understand it. That it worked in the Italian version because I was kind of removed from the process of doing it. It was quite intense doing it.
Yeah, wow.
I was trying to do it at the same time, and
but you're working on a new book. Wow.
Well, I'm writing a book on Japan, so I'm hoping that by doing that will make that book be in print again, because the Japan books can be more commercially, like, I want like an airport book, like, I'm quite ambitious about it. So I've been doing that today. This morning this week I've been doing that, haven't I? My Japan book. Also,
that Shadow My Likeness reports that your book is going for $575.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really? That's somewhere on the internet?
I suppose so. Where for that Shadow My Likeness, where did you find that? Is that an Amazon seller trying to sell it for that much?
Wow. And that in demand. I'm becoming like a niche perfume.
Right. Discontinued and in demand. Your book is now a holy grail of perfume literature.
I mean, like, even while I was doing it, it was already out of date, because there's like a cut-off point for the most recent perfume, which was like 2018. It came out 2019, so it does feel very antiquated now because there's all these old things. But I was trying to, I was aware of that. I'm just trying to create something sensual and aesthetic that you could sort of lose yourself in a bit. And I've had, some of the feedback I've had has been quite good in that respect. People quite enjoy just escaping into it for a while. How was your experience with it?
I loved it. Yeah.
Oh, you like it? Really?
Yeah. It was recommended to me. There's this gent who seems to have some similar taste to you, and I didn't know. Yeah, you should pick up the book. You'll enjoy it.
So Queen in England also likes powdery perfumes.
Oh, I love the powder. Much to the demise of even my own partner.
Give me.
You smell like an old lady again.
No, it doesn't really, does it?
Show us that again. I'll Val de Nuit.
Mm-hmm. I love it so much. It's my sort of. My God, it kills me. Mm-hmm. Duncan doesn't like it as much as I like it. Yeah, he's going. And then also, like,
very polite.
He's very polite. For ultimate old powdery, I love Hermes Rouge and Parfum d'Hermès. and the waxy stick is quite something.
I have that same
I love
mini of Parfum de Mes.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But no one else likes it. Only I like it.
Oh.
So I feel quite lonely sometimes, kind of like,
Oh, well.
I'm going to drench myself in Parfum de Mes tonight. And that has that Costas like dirty, that dirty undertone. Absolutely divine. I think it might even be in my top 5 now. Rouge as well. I could drink it. What do you think of it? Rouge, the original Rouge. I absolutely adore it.
Oh yeah. It's like crushed velvet to my nose. Such a lovely texture to it. It's really nice.
But no one else likes it, so I just wear it for my own pleasure, really. Duncan just like Marquis de Sade.
Yeah, I don't like all of the things.
You can't agree on everything.
Yeah. Did you mention Marquis de Sade?
Yes, because I kind of think I'm not into that kind of thing, but I think that there's something in the sort of filthy lick of the base in the Parfum de Mes, which is a bit Sadian.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I actually once, and before I got to appreciate it, they used this big 250ml bottle of it in this Fujisara recycle shop, but it was like 20,000 yen, which isn't that much actually. It's probably like $130 or something, but I didn't have that cash on me at the time.
And how large of a bottle?
It was a really big one. It was like a 250, 300ml, like massive bottle, right?
Wow.
And I just I looked at it and I was like, ooh, and I smelled it, and then it went eventually. And
something like that here would sell easily for 2,000.
It would. Yeah,
people are ridiculous with the prices here. Yeah. Do you collect factices? Do you have any factices?
I can't understand the attraction.
Yeah. Some people, I don't have any myself, but people love just for display having
empty bottles. No, thank you. Has
yeah, with colored water.
I have no interest in that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've run out of room for the actual perfumes. I don't know where I would put factices. I don't own a store.
This is almost empty now, mate.
Let's see that.
The Patu Mille de Patu.
Mille de Patu.
How well do you know that? 1/3.
I know it pretty well. I do. Yeah, I love that color bottle.
But you know this actual extra bonus? Oh my god! I mean,
tell us about it.
So it's quite off-putting in the kind of green, kind of herbal beginning, but it has this osmanthus and like patchouli in the base, and it's just so like perfect French snobbery. I would describe it as. It's so kind of like, wow, like you are really on this stratospheric level of taste, and most of the bottle's gone. But it's so strong that even if it's empty, I can still just.
The design is famously. It's based on Chinese snuff.
How gorgeous! I just think it's divine.
They're based on jade snuff bottle, right?
I adore it.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like it?
So I actually, truth be told, I only own the eau de toilette. So I won't. Shame on me. I'm not I'm not the completist that I ought to be. How could I only have the EDT? It's just
No. What's the vintage? Is it like a recent one or an old one?
No, it's one from the 80s. I like it. I do like it.
Honestly, trust me, this is a different perfume.
I believe you.
A different perfume. It's like there's something so hardcore about it, which the EDT doesn't have. 60s. It came out in the 70s, but this 70s, I think this bottle is. I think it's really beautiful, actually. I thought very convincingly, but.
Well, how do you enjoy? So, how do you enjoy that compared to Joy? Are you do you appreciate Joy as well in the?
Only theoretically, and not in reality.
Well, I do know it's very pissy to some people. So the jasmine. Yes,
it's kind of gross, but it's also quite beautiful in a way. I mean, I have the black and that bottle.
Yes,
the black and red version of that we have upstairs.
That's right. Yes.
All right.
I think that bottle is so beautiful. I think it's. I think it's interesting the way that things like like number 5 have like lasted the year. Endured.
Yes.
Whereas
and Shalimar as well. Shalimar.
yes, those two have lasted even with
very
reformulations.
ageless.
Whereas
Yeah.
I think Joy is like, I think it's past. It's just
It's perfume of a different
Its
era.
time-
isn't
its time
it?
has gone, I
It's
think,
hard
now.
to.
Would you agree or not? Like I think it doesn't have
I
like
know what you
commercial relevance. It doesn't feel. And yeah, I give
It hasn't necessarily stood to the test of time as
No, it
far
hasn't.
as being able to
That's what I was-
transcend tastes of whatever time period. Yeah.
However,
It's
on the
not-
right skin, that jasmine, especially on women, that jasmine can really sing on the right people. So like our friend Emma Perfume, we gave her a bottle of the
she
Eau de
really-
Joy, and she loved it.
Yeah.
So it can work still, but not on me.
Yeah.
I would never wear it. Would you wear Joy? Oh my god.
Would I wear Joy? Well, I have that's another one where I have the EDT. I can't, and I know the Parfum and and that would be far too overbearing for me.
Have you tried using the vintage soap? Because that's a shocking experience.
The soap.
Oof. It's not. It makes you feel unclean, which is the opposite.
Does the opposite?
Very
Huh?
opposite of the soap. You know, it's like it's
dirtied up with the soap.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, I can't. No, I can't do that.
My goodness.
I mean, Jiki has aged really well, hasn't it?
Has it?
Jiki, I have actually a recent version of the Astray, and it's.
Where's that well? That's one.
Yeah.
Let's do. But
I'll step away for. We'll show that, and then I'll show my. I have the recent Astray. Let's take a look here. Is that one of the charger bottles?
I think it's a recharger from the 2000. What would you say from looking at it? I'm not entirely sure.
It's more recent, isn't it?
But it smells very good on him.
Let me try.
That's all.
Oh, it's good though.
I like it.
It's got a nice.
We should wear that and Shalimar
Citric.
together because it'd be perfect, wouldn't it?
Oh, do you go? That would be good actually because very citric, that lemony.
Why haven't we done that before?
No, that's pretty nice.
Both walking around like perfume over 100 years old. It's kind of in keeping. What's your Jiki Parfum like?
I'm gonna grab it. I'll chat. We'll chat a little bit about it. I'm gonna just step away. It's back here.
I do like Jiki.
It's quite nice.
What do the people watching think of Jiki? But there's something about it. I don't know. I'm not entirely.
It has that sort of like
sort of strange, sort of cotton sheet lavenders and
almost oily aspect.
Oily, yeah.
But I think it's like it's nicely.
I like it basically.
I think it's aged pretty well though, hasn't it? When you consider, wow. Mind you, this is a modern duration.
Same, as in like same as in.
Well, how does it compare with your Shalimar now?
Please don't. I'm just going to drop it.
I know. Wait a second. I'll smell it. Actually,
it could so easily happen.
So this is the.
Don't
this one out. So I don't have a vintage, but this one is really good. It's a Thierry Vasser Jiki. Ooh, and I can smell it as like even as it's coming out of the box here.
Is it that green velvet base?
Little badrouchage still on it.
I like
it. It's cute.
Can I see the? Can I see the box?
Yeah. Let me zoom in here. I'll zoom in and show that. That's the box. I mean the bottle rather. We do have it in. There goes the box. That's a black velvet interior, and this is the box. The front of the box. So we don't have the classic.
Yeah, you see, so I find that color slightly dull. Like I prefer the like.
You're talking about that? Yeah, that's unfortunate.
No,
right?
that's fine. It's that shiny grey with beige.
Oh, you're talking about this?
I find it slightly boring.
Personally. It is. I'm not pleased with it. At least the bottle itself is quite
compared
nice.
to that, for example, give me the old. Give me the old.
Yeah.
Do you find it sexy, Jiki, or more gentlemanly, or more elegant?
I would say a combination. I would say it depends on where you are and who you're with. Yeah, this is beautiful. It is beautiful, and the bergamot is just redolent, and you get that strange back note of that. You know, it's almost like just a little bit of ick, just a little bit of ick that you just expect from it.
Bit, you think?
Yeah,
just a little bit,
a
little fluffy.
Yeah, see, so the ick, I'm kind of like, ick is good sometimes.
The icky of Jicky, I think in my review for the Eau de Parfum, I mentioned I enjoy the icky of the Jicky. I think I do. I think, as a matter of fact,
I never thought of that before.
So I'll return to the concept of icky and Jicky when I write a review for the Astray. But I picked that up on a recommendation from a gentleman. He is on Instagram as Jamal Phy. His first name is Jamal, Jamalphy, a young gentleman who has a very good nose. And he said that the newer Astray is something worth seeking, and I'm really impressed with it. Yeah, I do love Jicky. I love Mouchoir de Monsieur as well, which people argue is redundant, and I don't think it's redundant at all.
I have like some kind of 2000-y like reconstruction. It is kind of pointless. I smelt the back in the day, like, you know, as a teenager going to London, I went to like Harrods and smelt the original Mouchoir de Monsieur, and it was filthy. And what I got upstairs is kind of, I don't really see the point of it, of a reformulation where it's like a little bit filthy but not convincingly so, and then kind of, so I would never wear the one upstairs. It's a bit like Jicky, but crisper, but also more dirty at the same time. But the original was really quite disgusting and quite impressive. Again, Marquis de Sade would have worn Mouchoir de Monsieur, I think.
Disgusting and impressive. I love that.
While naked in the cell, you know, smearing his stuff all over the wall. I mean, it does have that kind of decadent, very French aspect to it, I think.
I might pilfer that for an idea for a video, as I am the iconoclast when it comes to, you know, I'm a YouTube channel under 2,000 subscribers. I'm not looking to, you know, make money. So what do I have to lose? I made $50 so far this year. Ooh, I'm rolling in it. To make a video on disgusting perfumes that I love. That I love to wear. I love to lavish in them. I love to just put the disgustingness all over my body and rip it out.
Bal de Versailles is the best one for that.
Oh, Bal de Versailles is nasty.
I love it.
Love it. In all different forms too.
You see, I would say for me, honestly, if you ask me what is the best base note of all time, I would say Bal de Versailles. Honestly, all the perfumes of all time, apart from Chapman, which is very wearable. Bal de Versailles, I think the base is beyond comparison.
Beautifully wretched.
There's one kitchen shelf. It's just so like, and it takes about 6 hours to get to that point. Animalic perfection, where it's not overdone and kind of dry down. I think it's beautiful.
There's something to be said for animalics that are not overdone.
I think so.
That, if we get back to the discussion on modern indie perfume,
oh my god, I get niche, it. Modern niche animalics, no, thank you. I'm not into it.
They desecrate animalics.
I agree.
Because what they do, they don't understand that animalics in and of themselves, they can be exactly. They don't really have the value unless they are complementing whatever's around it. And what they do is they front load a lot of these perfumes with the animalics, thinking that it is so, bold and shocking.
Yeah,
and then what ends up happening is it's just so it isn't a perfume. It's poopy.
It's just poopy, but not in a good
poopy.
way.
And then the reviews that are, this hallowed poopy, like they love like these like this. I love smelling like shit. I love smelling like I've smeared shit all over myself, and I'm in need to be sectioned because I'm just obsessed with scatology. And that
exactly.
becomes like the animalic of today. And they don't
Okay.
understand that civet's original use, castoreum's original use, what have you, was not to be, you know, the star player. They're
Are they
supposed to
still
be.
using, sorry, can I ask, are they
Oh,
still
go
using,
ahead, go ahead. Yes.
are they still using natural civet, do you think? Or is it like,
Oh.
or is it like,
Well,
or is it like
Oh,
synthetic?
gosh.
Because
Yeah.
They
synthetic
do
animalics I'm not into on the whole.
Yeah, they still do. I mean, there are civet producers, and civet is still available. I mean, commercial perfume, no. You're going to have a combination of civitone and lactose,
Yeah, I'm
ketone,
not into
and different musk bases and stuff to reproduce it, which to varying levels of
Yeah.
success,
Not into
and some not so good. But some of the indie perfumers will use real civet, but they don't know how to dose it judiciously.
I agree.
And
There's
it doesn't.
the Indonesian brand, isn't there, which does which is quite animalic.
Is that Prin? Is that Prin Lomras? Or is no? I don't know if they're
We've got two scents. One is a very pineapple. Scent.
pineapple.
Yeah, and the
Pineapple.
other one is quite animalic, I think, isn't it? But I can't. I have to check that. I'll check the
Speaking of
name.
Indonesia, we actually smelled an actual civet in the cage in
Yeah,
Java.
we did.
An actual civet, living civet in a cage in Java, and it did smell like Chanel number 5.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
straw it was in actually had literally had like a.
Yeah.
I was actually sniffing the straw, like, you know, this animal.
Mm-mm.
It's actually quite pleasant, wasn't it?
And also, you can actually buy civet coffee.
Well, that was horrible.
Which is, I mean, I pretty much just been through the tract of the coffee beans, which have that, an extra aroma. And added
coffee.
You know,
We tried it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Have I tried civet? Have I tried the civet material or? Oh, sorry. I think the connection is. Oh, not the coffee. I would love to try the coffee. I do have pure civet. I do have it for reference.
It's quite fascinating.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And I can immediately recognize it. I've experimented with it as well in blends. You can actually make a civet alcohol where you have a very small percentage of civet in the alcohol, and then you use that. This is not the kind of thing that a perfumer is scooping little bits of civet and putting into their formula because it is so potent. But when I smell it, I can immediately recognize it from where it is in perfumery, just in a very, very intensified form that you wouldn't want to wear neat. It is not a perfume in itself. It's not one that you just want to smear on your skin.
Used to be back in the day.
At one time, yeah, and another age. It is odd. Guerlain seemed to like remove the spice from Jiki and the nutmeg and vetiver after a certain decade.
I agree.
Yeah,
I miss the nutmeg. That's what I miss. I miss the nutmeg in vetiver because that's what I like.
Yeah.
I love nutmeg. Personally.
Me too. I love Cacharel Porom. That is real.
Yeah, so we have that upstairs, and I've put extra nutmeg in it, which is slightly ruined it, I think. But
good morning, Empty Scents, or good at top of the morning to you. It's morning where you are. Type of blender and extender. Just catching up with the chat here. I'm curious what the gentlemen think of Russian Adam's work. Although yes.
We don't know. I don't know it. You tell me about it.
Oh goodness!
Here
we go again. I'm gonna bite my lip. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of the types of perfumes where the scarcity and the luxury and the exoticism of the materials are put ahead of having a cohesive, eminently wearable, and a type of perfume that really does tell a story. It just, when they put them all together just for the sake of their rareness and luxury, to me, it's just more of a posturing. It's more sort of like, look at how rare all of these ingredients are, and I used them, rather than look at this final result. This final result, because I paid so much respect to these materials, and I want to use them in a way that really does them justice. And they don't do them justice. And I will say this again, and I've said it before, that it is heartbreaking that these houses use these materials in these really brazen ways to for clout. I don't know what it's for. There's no skill there. I'm just going to be straight up. There's very little skill to no skill with a lot of these houses that do this. And it's a waste of these precious materials that these plants and other botanic species that are already rare to begin with, and we're wasting it on these amorphous blobs that that's just how I feel. And then, we have perfume YouTubers, YouTubers who put them on a pedestal as if they're like the ultimate in perfumery. And I find it to be like cloud cuckoo land. How can you consider that to be the highest echelon? So that's my take on it. It's with a lot of them. That's why I don't talk about them. And they're ridiculously expensive. I'd rather spend my money on a vintage Guerlain or Caron or whatever than spend my money.
What Carons do you like?
Oh, so many. Oh, hold on a second. I want to read this. Yeah, the tiny EDP sample that I have from the perfume house was so interesting. The Jicky versus the EDT sample, Clove Regional Spice. Carons, so many of them. I do like the Caron masculines. I started off with that. I fell in love with Yatagan about 15 years ago. I love Yatagan. I do, some people do really have a strong dislike for it, but I love the Pournom because I love lavender and Le Troisième. Love Le Troisième. And then all the Carons that very few perfume enthusiasts discuss that are the true classics, like a Tabac Blanc and Narcisse Noir and
my name came from this.
I beg your pardon?
So the Black Narcissus came from that, obviously. That's where my blog title came from.
Yeah.
Narcissus. And I love Poivre myself.
Poivre, Nemec Nemec is lovely, and Evian. Lots of them. Infini de Parfum de Toilette. Wonderful stuff, because I love my aldehydes, love aldehydic florals. I love that whole time period where the aldehydes were just, wretched to most modern noses, but I just
not to mine people. I live for them. I love them.
Love them. It's such a weird dichotomy for people to see me. I'm not necessarily a very effeminate man necessarily, and to have my smelling of, a really sophisticated woman in the mid 60s.
But I was wearing arpège, eau d'arpège this morning. It definitely didn't. I got the civet in it, and I got like Luca Turin calls it a unisex. That's his one-word review, unisex. Which is.
Oh, you're talking about Luca Turin? He considers it to be.
Briefly, I'm just saying, I think he reviewed arpège with the word unisex, but which is it's one approach to it. Like this morning,
I would love to find a man who feels confident wearing it.
Me.
Me too. I mean, besides us, because that's obvious. I mean, out there in the world.
I adore Cologne, for example. Acroban Cologne is my idea of heaven.
Yeah.
I adore it. I also like the original for men as well.
All the soaps are vintage soaps.
They don't really last that long.
I suppose they don't. No. It's a nice combination. It's a nice combination, isn't it?
I would love to try Alpona. I have never tried Alpona.
Ooh, I didn't go. My review of that is good, though I say it myself. Please check the Black Narcissus Alpona review. I promise that's a good review. I was stunned by that review. That was quite well written. That was me waking up in a Dantesque forest in the middle of nowhere, and it's a really weird, dark coniferous orange. I'm not into it. Honestly, you're gonna love it. You have to find it. Please read my review of that.
Yeah. Well, it's I have it as a search engine in multiple places for it to come up.
I went to the boutique in Paris 20 years ago, and I think that's where I got it from. Or maybe someone sent me a sample. But anyway, I used to have I think it was even the Perfume even. It's really quite something. I call it Muppet Swedish chef style.
Oh, are we talking about
I think
Throw some of this oud in here and a bunch of this shiver in
We love
here.
the
yeah.
And then this Champagne Absolute. You don't get frangipani. And I don't smell it anymore because it's been buried by everything else. Yeah, it's totally Swedish Chef. Yeah. A waste of floral absolute. I'll get dampened and buried under whatever bullshit they put in. It's sad. These noble, as they say, materials being, like desecrated and ravaged and turned into, like mixed in the cauldron, like bathtub. I don't know what the fuck they're using, but and it comes out so awful. And people think that it is worth the $400 for 50 mil.
Yeah, I won't do it either.
No way. No way. Maginosis, hello. And we have that Shadow My Likeness again. It is people with an it is people with an open credit card who want to get their name out using extraordinary ingredients to dazzle curious noses, but hide their lack of skill and launch themselves to open a house quicker.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there you go.
Mark Sage of Clandestine Laboratories makes a gorgeous feminine floral called Daran that I love wearing. That's another one that I'm impressed with his work. Mark Sage. He's quite nice as well. He's based in New York City. He is respectful to his materials and actually knows how to compose. And then some. But I do really appreciate him. He was one of our previous guests. So, yeah, it's great.
So you're very honest and direct. What star sign are you?
I'm a Libra.
Oh.
So I can be honest and direct, but but I'm also I'm sensitive to other people's feelings, and and like I said earlier in the chat, like if I know if somebody's trying really hard and they're humble and they're doing the best that they can and they're willing to take constructive feedback and they don't need to be taken down a few notches, then I'm not going to
trust them immediately. I'll give them 5 minutes to present their case. I mean, perfume writing it's quite diplomatic. People send you things, and you have to decide how to present it. And sometimes I just don't write about it, and sometimes I over embellish it. Sometimes I don't know. I get carried away sometimes. But like you don't want to be stuck in the past. I want to be a combination of in the present, but also not forgetting the gorgeousness of the vintage stuff, which I love so much. It's a balance, isn't it? But
it is a balance. It's making sure that I am not always using the same sort of standards to judge something. I try to meet for the most part, meet something where it is, rather than constantly compare it to, what Edmund Rudnitska did. Like it's not fair to do that. So especially with independent perfumers, it's really based on looking at it more holistically, based on the limitations that an independent perfumer does have, and then taking it from there. And I think in spite of that, a lot of them do some exceptional stuff. But I can be outspoken when it is, especially when it's somebody who has like a huge social media presence.
Well, I think it's honestly, for me, it's extremely refreshing, I have to say. I mean, I'm like, that's why I was clapping before, because I'm just like, okay, you said it. What can I say?
I think that people are getting tired of yes men and yes women who are constantly, this release is great. Check it out. These opinions are my own.
As opposed
but I also think independent perfumers, do want some feedback as well, some genuine feedback. I don't think they just want an echo chamber, like you said. I think they would be interested in feedback, from people who.
Well, in that case, they
have
should
a perspective,
produce less perfumes and make them good to begin with.
I mean, I agree with you. The whole very muddy thing where you smell something. What the hell is that? What is it supposed to be?
Strong and nothing.
It doesn't have like I said, it doesn't really have a vision as such. It doesn't seem to anyway. But maybe my aesthetic is missing it. But you just think, wow, it's just such a mess. of so many notes.
Speaking of murky, do you know? I'm presuming you know Rocha Mystère. You listen to them almost everything. You know Mystère Rocha?
Mystère. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? That's the foresty one I can do. I love that.
I love it.
I love it. I wear silvery but also murky.
Mm-hmm.
So that has the kind of
that's an artful murkiness, not unintentional and.
Yeah, I agree. But the silvery, like, it goes from high to low, doesn't it? Like from treble to bass, like you were saying before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It runs that gamut. Yeah, it starts off with the treble, and then it gets very shadowy and foreboding, and aptly named mysterious. So that is a lovely one. Yeah, yeah. I did a review for that recently. Yeah, you have the Parfum as well. Oh, I'm sorry. I think we were talking at the same time.
I have the Parfum of that.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I have the Eau de Parfum for now. I wouldn't mind trying or owning the Parfum as well.
So I have some perfumes that I give away a lot of stuff, but my Mystère is not going anywhere. It's like one of my kind of I'll give away this. I'm always giving away stuff, but that's one I sort of. It's my kind of private perfume when I want it. When I want it, I want it. If you know what I mean.
Yes, St. Clair's Edge Effects. That's a beautiful one. Yeah, she is one of the few independent perfumers I know who is able to cinch aldehydes, aliphatic aldehydes, because those are tough. Many argue that really does require some formal training to get aliphatic aldehydes to get those down pat in a formula, but she does it very well. And I'll say Darren is good with it too. And Ellena says, I'm trying to make my husband use it. It is too masculine on me. Ellena, which one are you referring to? And Mystère. We have some Mystère fans. I've talked about it before on here. Mystère. Oh, okay. Yes. Ah, okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. It does have a masculine energy to it, which I think was its appeal. I mean, a lot of the scents marketed to women would be perceived as masculine today.
Well, the first time I smelled Mystère, right? It was I was working in a terrible office somewhere, and absolutely nightmarish period of my life. And there was a colleague of my dad's who was having an affair with an older woman, and it wasn't a happy affair, but she used to wear Mystère in the office, and it really did it captured that kind of of the woman feeling really well. Like it was verging on manly. It was a bit dirty, and it was very deep. I think it's quite a weird perfume, actually.
I love the weird. I love weirdness. I'm weird. I like queerness. Not queer in the Judith Butler sense necessarily, but queer in just like the original definition, things being peculiar and queer, and I like that.
What do you do for a living? Is that the right question to ask? Is it a?
I'm sorry.
What's your day job?
Oh, what is my day job? Well, I don't want to get into too much detail on it, but I work from home and I work for the Commonwealth. And the reason why I'm not desperate to get a big YouTube channel is that I'm already fine with my lovely full-time job. I'm not trying to make a YouTube career out of it. But
that gives you more integrity, doesn't it? Because then
it does, because I'm not trying to. My goal isn't to make money, like I hope that some people, it's viewer supported mostly. So if anybody, here we go with the plug, if you want to buy me a coffee, you know where the link is. You can buy one. Each coffee is $5 each. So you're not going to be spending more than you would at a Starbucks. And yeah, it's mostly viewer supported, or people can send super chats. That's another option should they prefer that. So
if I had to be schmoozing the whole time, I'd find it really tiring, I think. But because I can feel a little bit. you know, if there's like cocktails involved, I can do it. But I can do it all the time. Like I like to be independent to some extent. Have my own, you know.
I have to power down. Like I consider myself an ambivert, leaning more introvert. Like I can be extroverted up to a point, and then something in my mind and my body says no more.
Exactly.
Time for So I just can't keep going. I'm not an energizer bunny when it comes to extroversion. There's a time for me to turn it off. So as far as the YouTube, if I am lucky and I have the time, I release something once a week. So it's a live stream or a video. Usually the videos I make is once a month, and that's a good enough pace for me. So and it works out well. So because like I feel like this is just more a compliment, because my writing is what I feel most. I feel most comfortable with that space, just doing the writing, and yeah.
Me too.
It's fun stuff.
It's because it's something human beings sometimes as well. So
yeah. But we had some great guests though on here. We have a great backlog on Effluvium. It's interesting how it's evolved. Like when I started doing Effluvium, I was all new to the YouTube scene, and I was showing up on other live streams and trying to mingle, like you said. And it started off with like this huge viewership of all these people who did the whole live stream circuit. But that live stream circuit is really, I would say 15% actually discussing fragrance, and then the other 85% other stuff completely unrelated. And then it got into things that I just felt like it was just really a waste of my time. So, what happened is over the months, the amount of the viewership kind of gotten a little bit smaller, more intimate, and more dedicated, like people who actually were interested in listening to people talk about fragrance. So for the second year that I've been doing it, I like how it's evolved into what it is, and it feels more like a podcast now. So I've actually wondered, like, should I just make this a podcast next year? Some people don't even want to be in front of a camera. I'm grateful you guys were willing to be. So we'll see how it evolves.
I'm camera shy, but it's fun.
Yeah.
But we're also both performers, right? So we do like Tokyo cabaret stuff. Like Dickens makes films and does all kinds of bizarre stuff on stage. And I also my alter ego, which looks very different, wears a lot of like tuberose and stuff I wouldn't wear in daily life, like poison and that kind of thing.
Typhoon.
Who's that by? Oh, that's one of those cheaper ones.
What's Typhoon?
Oh, it's just John Art, that sort of cheap. It's one of his. It's a really bad bottle. Really quite funny.
Strange shape.
Is that like a brand, like if you like poison, you'll love such and such? Yes, kind of like Parfum. Yeah, yeah. There's a few of them like that. They're pretty hilarious. I love the commercials. They had one for Giorgio. If you like Giorgio, you love Primo.
Yeah,
I don't. Do you like Giorgio?
I have a Giorgio, but I'm not sure if I'm not entirely sure it's bona fide.
Oh,
that's one I'm not sure about, because my nose, it's a bit. It was always kind of shocking anyway. But like, Burning Bush could wear Giorgio, I think.
Yes.
But
who's Burning Bush? I do not know this Burning Bush. That's Burning Bush. Wait, okay. Sorry about that. I stand corrected. I do know. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. People can visit Burning Bush at Black Narcissus, right? Well, we can see a bit of
Burning Bush appears on there sometimes.
Yeah. Quite elusive.
It makes a few appearances a year. I went to Hawaii last year and went to the Honolulu Museum of Art and did a talk, and then a few days later, on the next day, actually, isn't it? Burning Bush came out reeking of tuberose. It's like my sort of release creature, my kind of spirit animal. Even more girly perfumes come out with Burning Bush.
I love that. A little bit of
I like Giorgio Red better than Giorgio, actually. Red's really good, actually. You know Red?
Yeah, I do know Red. Yeah.
Some of that is, I would say, almost Mr. level quality.
Really? How is it? I have an eau de toilette. See, I'm the basic eau de toilette bitch, I suppose. I have all the eau de toilette versions. Like I don't like I can. It's mostly out of like cost effectiveness, really. But I would. How easy is it to find the parfum?
And I keep contradicting myself, saying that I don't like coniferous, but there's something piney in the top note of that, which is it's basically like a pine floral amber, I would say, and it works beautifully. In fact, burning bush. People actually stopped me in the street in Shinjuku, like follow that hair and follow that perfume, and came towards me. And remember that there's people in Shinjuku, and they got in a taxi with me based on the perfume I was wearing, which was Giorgio Red. It's actually less tacky than you'd think.
That's funny, JJ, because most of the times you go live and I'm still at the office, and to me it's actually like a podcast that I listen to while at my job. See, it works out that well. Listening is an option. Only occasionally aren't we showing something here, so it works out well. The only tuberose I like is one from Dower.
Oh no.
The incense makes it wearable. You're the only one I know who. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't want to talk too much about it though, because then I
respect you. But I just something that. So I bought the Americana Classic, L'Herbe des Americains for Duncan, thinking it was good, and it didn't work at all. And then I gave it to my brother, and oh my god, he just got this kind of like. People stopping in the street type reaction to it. So I realized, okay, we can't do a certain woody amber, but my brother absolutely adored it.
Yes,
I think Percival loves him. I like his ethos, and I just.
Me too. I just it doesn't resonate with me though. It just doesn't, and that's nothing. It's not a matter of him not being a good perfumer. It's me. It's not you, Andy. It's me. But you're fine. I
think there should be more of that in. I think there should be slightly more of I'm not into Christopher Nolan, for example. I can see Christopher Nolan's craft. I just don't enjoy his films. So it's like he's obviously a genius at what he's doing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for me. So I think that you can sort of see some perfumers in that light. Like maybe they're maybe they're actually really good. They're just not my cup of tea type thing.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And they could be very good at what they do, but unfortunately what they do is not your taste.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's different from what you were saying before, where we these amorphous blobs that are crap and everything. Like
or if you have,
I can see it's good. It's just not me,
the amorphous blob thing. It's like, who is that for? And if it's who's deluding themselves? I know it's a bold statement, but it's even worse when somebody wants to make a classic sheep, what comes out is nothing of the sort. And
don't do sheepers ever again. I think no one should even do that anymore.
Yeah. But there are some indies that try to do that. They try to recapture that.
I've smelled so many, and I just please.
Yeah.
My favorite sheeper actually wouldn't be Mitsuko. My favorite is the original Chanel Pour Monsieur. That is one of my in the apérisage format.
I was reading that actually the other night. I was apérisage.
It's so beautiful. But that's the only person I've actually dropped 2 bottles of, like in public, and smashed. You can't get it anymore, and that is my teenage perfume. That is so beautiful. That is wow. Because now it just smells of like mosquito repellent now. Pour Monsieur. It's just citronella and like lemongrass and carnivore. It's not really nice anymore.
Well, 40 years later, still imbibed with Georgia.
Really?
I'll put that back on here. Yeah, I think 40 years later, my high school.
Oh no!
I hope so. They should be. Wow.
We're just catching up here. Outdoorsy office. I'm an outdoorsy office type. I'm a sporty type too, believe it or not. He's very good about his intention and being very clear, to be sure. Andy Tower.
Oh,
Yeah. It's like, I think that it takes a certain amount of I don't know, emotional intelligence. I'm trying to find the right way of describing this. To be able to say that, you know, that perfume is not bad. That's a well done perfume. It's just, it doesn't resonate with me, or their style doesn't resonate with me. I take umbrage with those who say a bad perfume is a bad perfume, because how can you, you know, like, I mean, I might be contradicting myself because of the amorphous blobs, but maybe there is a line to be drawn. And that's where the line is drawn. But short of that, I think that if you can tell that this was, you know, that it was composed competently, constructed competently by perfumer who obviously, you know, knows their onions and knows how to work their way around formulation, you can say that it's, you know, it is a well done perfume. It's just, you could say it's a well done perfume, but it's not inventive, or it's not, or it doesn't do anything different, or it's a bit boring, or it's a bit, you know, or it's just, it uses a certain approach or a certain type of style that is just not, you're not into it. Like many ouds, for example. Like, to be honest, like oud isn't really a favorite note of mine. I have, out of my entire collection, I think there's maybe 3 or 4 that actually have an oud note. I'm
not a fan either, but
it's overdone, isn't it?
I like the Cartier one.
It has been way overdone.
Cartier ones are quite nice. I actually like Ducitas one as well. Oud Infini. And
Oud Infini, yeah, that one actually, yeah.
That's an animal that works. It's been discontinued.
It does. That's where you can push the envelope. An example of pushing the envelope of an animalic just to the precipice, but it's still working.
I agree. And it's still tasteful. It's still have that kind of.
She knew where to stop. She knew this is it. If I take it any further, it'll be beyond the pale. So. She knew where to stop.
Which ouds do you like, Sweat? What ouds do you like?
What types of ouds do I like?
Well, I hate oud myself, but like
there's just not many. There's a lovely one, oud Wamisk from Bordeaux, which is because it's such a subtle oud. I like when oud is subtle. I like it when it's like a subtle undercurrent, not forward, and that's where it's like mostly like this lovely earthy, woody, with a subtle undercurrent of oud. It's very understated. It's beautiful. And then there are a couple that fragrances like, for example, Clinique Beyond Rose, which I don't even think oud is listed as a note, but that feel like there's like a little bit of an oud undercurrent in it, just enough, just a little accent. That's the only time that I appreciate oud. So really, yeah, I used to have, oh God, it was a Montal, but I had it.
I like them. I like
Darabi. That was one of them, but I sold it. Yeah,
I was into oud back in 2008.
You used to wear it all the time
before it became like a popular thing. I was wearing it like way back in the day. Like you got sick to death of it, didn't you?
Oh,
I had loads of Montals back in the day, but then I kind of, you know.
Yeah.
God, those bottles are hideous.
Honey is a note. Oh, I think it's repulsive.
See, I love honey.
Got honey in it.
It's understandable, though. I get it. I totally get it.
Because you had Angara Porum on your blog, and that's divine. Oh my God, patchouli with the lavender, and then the honey in the. Do you like Angara as well?
Oh, I do like Angara.
We all like that, right?
I do like Angara. Yeah.
You like Angara Porum, the first one? Because you featured it on your blog the other day.
I do. I think it's lovely. I think that it's such an interesting twist on what was happening then. That who was it? Jacques Polge, and he collaborated with another perfumer on that one. But I think it's interesting that they took sort of like some things that were in style in the late 80s, like Davidoff Zeno, and then they threw in some other stuff into it. And
failed miserably. It didn't work because it was like on discount as soon as it was out, pretty much.
Yeah, and now it's just really the opposite.
That's how I got my bottle, because it was on sale at £25 back in 1991 or whatever. And I loved it. I was like, why do I like this? I hate macho perfumes. Why am I gravitating towards this? Like, what is it about? It's more macho than macho. It almost went into Tom of Finland, like exaggerated, hairy armpit territory. And so
top 10 hairy armpit fragrances could be a good idea for a future video. Those fragrances that evoke the funk of a ripened armpit.
Yeah, I If I'm the ripened
Ripened
armpit, so,
armpit, yeah.
and Ungaro is to me a kind of ripened armpit in the best possible way. I really like it. I love the bottle. I love that whole that gorgeous like packaging. You know,
I think cannabis scents have that ripened armpit quality.
I don't like
think. Yeah.
That's another
Those
discussion.
kind of
We have to go
head
soon,
shop
anyway.
head shop scent. You know, those kind of scents.
The only time I like when cannabis is in a scent is when the perfumer decides that wormwood smells like it, but I don't think it does. And then I like it because it's wormwood and it doesn't smell like cannabis. But if it actually does smell like cannabis, no bueno. I don't want to smell like I've been. I just don't like. There are certain things that I notes that if they're front and center, I just can't deal with them. That coffee needs to be like a little like supporting note. I don't want a coffee centric fragrance. Coffee, it's like oud. Oud is another one. Oud, coffee, cannabis, pineapple. I prefer it as like a supporting note than in the center. Some of them I just don't want them to be don't want them to have the leading role. They're just too. Their personalities are too bold. You know.
You know Navigator?
I'm sorry.
Have you ever smelled Artisan Parfumeur? Navigator. That's really exclusive.
Oh yeah, that's one of the only ones with a coffee note that I find quite lovely because it's just sort of a. It's just such a subtle coffee. It's like it's coffee much in the same way that there are other supporting notes that are kind of modifiers almost. It's sort of like we're just a little twist there.
Dry, sour.
Right. This mustard is a bit navigatorious on me right now. You don't think so? I'm getting a slightly navigatorious vibe from it.
A little bit.
That means no.
Yeah. Oh.
So we have 18 people tuned in. I think we're going to stay on for just a few more minutes. And then I'd like to just go backstage with the two of you and chat just a little bit because I know it's going to be probably your bedtime unless you're night owls. So we're going to stay on for just a couple more minutes just because we have a little bit of a rush in the viewership here, 15 people. So yeah, the Ungaros, I like this second one because it almost it's sort of that almost sort of pays homage to Zhiki a bit.
I agree.
I agree. I like that one a lot. The third one is pleasant. That was the only one that survived. That one survived the longest. Yeah.
That's quite
Ungaro has some nice Baroque.
I think so. The third one is very kind of it's sort of ornate, like a brocade, like an embroidered. I find it quite. I wouldn't wear it, but I can appreciate it. It's almost like a male Fendi or something, like a kind of spicy, rosy, all the kind of stuff, stuffed into one.
Stuffed to the gills.
I ever wore the first one, but the second one is more animalic, isn't it?
Lavender animalic,
yeah.
I liked it. We have the women's ones aren't bad either. Like we have Senso upstairs and we have Diva.
So I have Senso as well, and
Senso is so camp. Oh my god,
it is so over the top. It's like it's almost.
Bottle, I love it. I love it. But there are two bottles, right? There's two editions of it. We have the sort of that kind of.
I mean, the bottles look like the garish dresses that they would wear at the time with all the,
It's almost like Lulu. Or
I like
all
it.
the pleats.
Lulu kind of.
Cacharel Lulu, yeah. And then Cacharel Eden, that oh my god, what a popular post. God, it resonated with somebody. So many people have memories of that, good, bad, and otherwise. Yeah.
Yes, so I have possibly like a re-edition, but I sometimes feel like wearing it. It's a bit bilgy, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. But I kind of am just fascinated with it. That's one of those where it's like what you were saying, there are going to be some where you can appreciate it without wearing it. I can appreciate it and wear it, but also be fascinated with the fact that it smells so dissonant and alien to me that I just get transfixed. And I'm like, the only thing I'm experiencing right now is this Eden on my skin right now. And so there are some that are like that, but I do appreciate those where I can't even wear it, but I can still appreciate it on its own.
So with Eden, sorry to interrupt. With Eden, I recommend it on a hoodie.
On a hoodie,
honestly, like not on your skin, on that kind of that soft, fluffy thing inside. Honestly, one bit of Eden on that is unbelievable. You'll be like you'll be like doing this for days on end.
Well, scenting fabric is a good idea, isn't it? Actually?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are better.
Sometimes you don't want it on
fabric,
your.
Well, the problem with scenting fabric too, it depends on the tenacity of whatever's in that perfume.
Yes.
Because sometimes they put materials that are meant to last on clothing, for, after several washes, and if it's sometimes I just don't want
I
that.
agree.
Laundry musks and laundry ambers and all of that sort of stuff. All right, I'm gonna reach for, since I'm the only person producing this, I have to put the outro music on and interrupt everybody while doing this. Nobody else is doing it for me. Oh, there it is. I hear it now. So this is the outro music for Effluvium. In case anybody's interested, I usually start playing music when we get towards the end of our affair. So the three of us, rather, I'm not going to leave you two alone. The three of us are going to go backstage to have a little bit more of a chat. So for everybody who's tuned in, I do appreciate your tuning into this live stream. If you have missed most of it, of course, as always, it will be archived here so that you can listen to it in its entirety. And in 2 weeks, I'm working with Charna Ethier to do a live stream with her. She runs Providence Perfume Company. It will be my first natural perfumer who will I be hosting. And I wanted to dispel some of the notions that natural perfume is inferior, because if you have a good natural perfumer, they make some spectacular stuff. So we're going to have a great conversation with her. And that will be in a couple of weeks. Next week, I'm going to be working on a video on geranium. So geranium and fragrance, because people are confused as hell about geranium. They think it's the same geranium that's sitting on your grandmother's porch. That's not the geranium that's used. It's an entirely different botanical family that isn't even a true geranium. It's actually pelargonium. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some of the perfumes that I love that have a prominent geranium note. So that'll be next week. And then the next notes and accords is Neil's favorite. I'm going to be doing fougères. So I'm going to be discussing in the first hour all of the materials that we use in composing a fougère fragrance.
I like, I like.
You do like. I know you do. I know that.
No. I hate them, but I also like to go against my own preferences. So
sort of challenge yourself a little bit to.
Really. That's why I watch like films by directors I don't like sometimes. Try to sort of push myself.
So as usual, on the second hour, I'll talk about my favorite fougère fragrances. So that will be the next notes and accords. The last one we did, Iris and Violet, which is pretty popular. People were really fond of that. Look at the little like bubbles. I don't do that. That bubble that comes up, they come up on their own. I think there's somebody. I think that there's an option in the chat where if they hit a like a little thumbs up, it comes up on the screen. So. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so we're going to wrap up for now. Neil and Duncan, stick around for a little bit. We'll chat a little bit backstage. And everybody take care. We'll see you soon.